So the visa interview process is one of the most important things in getting to go abroad. You might have everything else in order, but that could be keeping you from going. And today we have a story about an expedited appointment for a US visa interview that just recently happened. This student, she's going to share her experience, her interview questions. And at the very end, we've got some key important tips for you guys, lessons learned that are going to guide you to be successful and hopefully get you that congratulations, you've gotten your visa response at your interview. Join us. Hey friends, welcome to Chine Coaching. I'm Rob. We love helping guide people to be successful in their cross-cultural journey, especially for international students. We've guided hundreds and thousands of students abroad, especially here to America. And Vaishnavi today is tuning in and is going to share about her recent expedited visa appointment for her US F1 student visa. And this is going to help you guys so much. Stay tuned for her special tips at the end as well. But Vaishnavi, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me over here. My name is Vaishnavi Deshmukh, and I'm a civil engineer. I'm from Pune, and I will be pursuing my master's in construction engineering and management at Texas A&M University this fall.
I got to visit Texas A&M earlier this year. Great campus, great students, great engineering, and you're going to have a wonderful experience there. Friends, be sure to check out our videos about Texas A&M as well. But Vaishnavi, we're going to jump right in. Tell us, what was the booking experience like, your timeline, and what did you have to do to get this expedited appointment?
I have kind of mixed feelings for the whole process of having a slot booking. First of all, I received my I-20s. Before even receiving my I-20, I started the process of visa application because the details in I-20, as in the service ID, was just dependent upon the DS-160. And having applied to visa application was not dependent on anything, just the DS-160 application number. So I made sure that I would not miss the slot updates that were happening in a very limited number, actually. So that increased my anxiety at that point of time. But I made sure that I prioritized my processes. And hence, I went ahead with my visa application process. I paid the fees, and it took me around a day for that to reflect back. So at first, I was trying to get an appointment anywhere at any consulate. That was my first priority. And I successfully booked my appointment at Chennai consulate for February 3rd, 2022. Seemed absurd at that time, but it made sense.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but it made sense to at least have an appointment so as to be eligible to book for, to apply for expedited application, because we need to at least have an appointment to apply for an emergency appointment. At least I was relieved that I had an appointment at my hand, but I tried to reschedule my appointment to my nearest consulate, which is the Mumbai consulate. So the next few weeks, I was trying for the same. Unfortunately, a thing happened that a week ago, around May 20th or something like that, bulk slots opened at Mumbai. And unfortunately, I had my account frozen 2 days before that, and I could not book that bulk slots. And it was very disheartening for me because it was like the slots were open, but I could not do anything about it. It is the process. It is how the process is. And but the very next day, very limited slot, as in 1 or 2 slots opened up. And fortunately, I got to reserve a slot of October 14th at Mumbai consulate. So this was the second most checklist that I had, that at least reschedule the appointment to my nearest consulate. So that happened, and I was fortunate that I could book that slot. I was relieved that at least my emergency appointment could be scheduled to my nearest consulate. And for around a week, I was waiting for earlier slots because I have my program starting from August 30th. But unfortunately, it so happened that once Mumbai opened the slot in bulk, the next week was very dry. Neither consulates opened any of the slots. It was just 1 or 2 slots in a day. And I was fed up of this. I was having a lot of anxiety issues. because of this. So I decided to take the risk and apply for an expedited appointment. For an expedited appointment, it is recommended that we should apply for the appointment only when our start date is within the 60 days period. But I wanted to take that risk, and hence I went ahead and applied for an expedited appointment, since we had two chances for that. And luckily, on June 2nd, I applied and I received an approval on June 3rd. So, which was very fast, in my opinion. As soon as I received the approval, I just logged on to my account and booked a visa slot. And even for emergency appointment as well, the slots were not opened. So I had to book a slot for June 23rd, which was around 15 to 20 days later. So you can see how difficult it was to get slots even for emergency appointments. But within a day or two, I just logged in casually and saw that there were slots available for June 11th as well. And I immediately booked it because I didn't want to take that risk in COVID times, especially. I wanted to get this over with as soon as possible. For expedited appointment, I had mentioned 3 points while applying. I would like to tell them very briefly, because first of all, while applying, just make sure that whatever you write is very brief and crisp. I made sure that I wrote in points and not in paragraphs, because it's naturally that the officers who are going to deal with thousands of applications, thousands of requests every day, wouldn't want to go through a paragraph. Instead, pointers would be very much easier for them to understand your situation. I did it in 3 points. My first point included that my college would be starting from 30th of August, and that starting this fall, the course is going to be completely online. And I need to be there on the campus for my course to start. So that was my first point. The second point being is that considering the quarantine rules and considering the housing accommodation, I had to go there. I had to be present over there to finalize these things and to obey the quarantine rules. Also, in this point, I mentioned that there's a lot of scarcity of vaccination in India. So I need to go to the US to have my vaccine to cover my immunization period before starting my course. And this is what I mentioned in the second point. And in the third point, this point was more kind of a personal point. I felt it. I had to write it because I was going through that. So I mentioned that the process is affecting my mental health, and it's causing a lot of stress to me because the slots are not opening up, and we need to it's causing anxiety issues. That's what I wrote in the third point. And lastly, I just requested the concerning officer to please accept my request, and they did it. So that was the whole application process.
So for all of you guys who are looking to plan and prepare for visa interviews, I have a great resource to tell you about, and it's called Argo. So Argo is the first company in the whole world made up of exclusively former U.S. consular officers, or AKA visa officers, with the U.S. Department of State, who've conducted visa interviews at U.S. embassies and consulates all over the world. Argo has officers who've served in countries all over the world, including India, and together, the Argo officers, these ex-visa officers, have made decisions on over 1 million visa applications. So with Argo, you can actually book a one-on-one coaching session to get specialized advice for your specific visa interview. And so these are video conferences where you get expert advice on how to ace your visa interview. And so we have a link in the video description and in the comments where you can go learn more about Argo and book a special one-on-one coaching session with a former US visa officer to help totally improve your chances on acing that visa interview and getting that acceptance, just like Vaishnavi got. So Vaishnavi, it was so great that they accepted your expedited appointment. Now tell us about that experience and what it was like.
That was a very quick thing. I had a very less time span. Everything happened, and I got around just a week before I had to appear for my visa interview. Instead of preparing myself, I approached Rob. I asked him about my questions, and he very helpfully sent me a few videos, which would be attached in this video as well. So going through that video helped me a lot. It let me know what are the do's and don'ts that should be done in an interview. That's the most thing that I did. Of course, later I just had a conversation with myself with probable questions that might happen, and that was pretty much my interview preparation. So I jumped straight into my experience. On June 11th, my appointment was scheduled at 8:40 a.m., but I anyway went there around 7:30 a.m. Mind you, there were a lot of people before me, before 7:30 as well. So I was kind of the 10th, 12th person. It took around 15 to 20 minutes just to go inside the consulate, and we waited around 5 minutes for the officer to come and just open their counters. So I was the first person for my counter. I was pretty much nervous. Like I had never been the first to anywhere. And being a visa interview, being a first person caused an additional nervousness, additional stress. But once the officer called me, strangely, all nervousness just went away. And it felt like just another person in front of me asking me questions, waiting to hear from me, waiting to know what I am, what my plans are. So the whole perspective changed then and there itself. The officer greeted me, we exchanged greetings, and then he asked me if I'm a student and if I'm going for master's. So I just told him, yeah, I'm going for a master's education. So he asked me, where am I going to study? So I just answered those questions. I would be studying at Texas A&M University, and it's a civil engineering course. So after this basic questions about the masters, he asked about my past graduation. He asked when did I graduated, and have I been working since then. So I told him about my graduation year, which is 2019, and since there was a 2 year gap, I was also working at different institutions. So I briefly told them about my work experiences over there. So later he asked me about my funding, which was the obvious question for every visa interview ever, and I was kind of ready for it. I told him about my visa funding. How am I going to do that? After that, after answering this question, he took around a minute or two to type something in his computer, and that was a very long time span. I'll also like to let you know that the time flies in a different speed when you're
Hmm.
inside that consulate in front of that interviewer. Later, then he asked me about my father's profession and what does he do. So I answered him. I answered with his annual income as well. And since my mother is also being my sponsorer, I also told about my mother as well. Then came the moment of relief. He just took my passport and just put it into a separate tray. And then he asked me just normal questions that did I travel before? Did I travel to US before? So just normal thing. And then came, I'm approving your visa. Just a few more information
Woohoo!
about.
Congrats.
Few, thank you. So but the fun part comes later after this part. So after this, he just gave me information about passport, and then I, being the excited person I just exclaimed that I am excited to be an Aggie. Thanks a lot. And I guess he wasn't expecting that answer, or he wasn't sure what I was saying. So he asked me, sorry, can you please come back again? And I was like, in a louder and more clearer tone, that I'm excited to be an Aggie. He started laughing. So that changed the whole atmosphere. He just greeted me that have a great day. And I said, thank you. Thanks. The same. Wish you the same, sir. This is how my experience went. And I'm sure that this would have affected positively for the next interview applicant as well, because
Hmm.
he immediately the whole environment changed into a positive note.
And I really appreciate you sharing that experience because you got quite a few questions. Some people just get a couple of questions. So I think more than average, you got a lot of extra questions, which were good basic questions, nothing too tricky, and you handled them well. But it's good for people to hear just an example of an interview that has maybe more and more questions than a typical one. So that's a great experience, and glad you had that personal connection and warm note at the end. I think that definitely helps, just being relational and natural in any kind of interview that you're doing. So our chai question for this video is, what are you most nervous about for your visa interview? I know Vaishnavi said she was a little nervous at the beginning too. Whether it's a visa interview, job interview, it's okay to feel nervous, but tell us in the comments, what are you most nervous about? Would love to get your thoughts, your feedback. And Vaishnavi, you also have a couple extra tips that you want to share, things that you learned from your experience that you want to help people who are preparing for their visa interview. Please share those.
I would like to say that, as I said earlier, that the officers are just normal people. They are very chill. They will just reflect the vibes that we give to them. So if we are happy in a light mood, they will also reflect the same thing. Definitely, ending on a positive note will help the next candidate. Will help just lighten up the whole mood. That would be the first pointer that I would like to give. The second pointer that I would like to give is that you just be genuine in your way and do not have your answers prepared beforehand. Do not have fixed answers written, because that will give a robotic feeling and you wouldn't want to portray yourself in that way. You need to be spontaneous in your answers so as to give that genuine student feeling, achieving that American dream, waiting for that one acceptance for your American dream. While preparing, just have normal conversations with yourself in front of a mirror and try having more probing questions to each of your answers. In that way, you would be prepared for every question the interviewer might ask. The third point that I would like to give is that start very early. One mistake that I did is that from the date I got my admit till I started applying, requesting for I-20 was around 2 months, and I wasted a lot of time. I underestimated the process that I-20 would just take a maximum around a week, but it isn't that. And I learned a very big lesson from there, that things are not very easy over here. We need to estimate what the thing is, how the process is, and not waste a single moment of time. And before going into any process, learn about the process, prioritize your things. So what I did is that even before getting my I-20, I started filling my DS-160 form, and I just left out the service ID section and the contact person of my university as planned. Apart from that, everything was filled in. And also, even before getting my I-20, I had my visa application ready. I was ready to book my slots. So I'll just let you know, give you an idea. I got my I-20 on 19th of May. And on 20th of May, I also had an appointment with me. So that happened only because I prioritized my tasks. I knew that the slots are scarce and I need to be on top of that. I need to be vigilant to get that one slot. I decided to fill in DS-160 later, but it is very important to have that application number written somewhere over with you, because if you're going to adopt this method, you need to have that application number mentioned very carefully. Be as quick as possible, be as fast as possible, because the people, not to brag, but the people who got I-20 way before than me still do not have slots, and I'm over with my interview just because I strategized things in a good manner.
And those tips are going to be so helpful. I really appreciate you sharing those, Vaishnavi. And friends, if you want to get special help, special coaching, please don't forget to check out Argo. We have the links for you guys. You get a one-on-one video coaching call with a former U.S. visa officer. It's going to be so helpful. Argo is a Chine Coaching approved resource for you guys. We want to help you guys be more successful and get that yes for your visa interview. And Vaishnavi, thanks so much. Again, we want to help people be successful in your journey, and your story is going to help so many people. So thank you so much for sharing today.
Thanks, Rob. People like you have been very helpful for people like me, because your help towards me, your friendly nature to be open to helping other students was comfortable, made me comfortable to approach you. And that is the quality, is one of the best qualities that you have. Helping people is one thing, but being open to help, being that one friendly person, and being that one person that international students like us can rely on you is a great thing. And I'm really thankful for you. Thanks a lot.
Dhanyawad. Thanks so much for those encouraging words. And friends, yes, we want to continue to guide you. So be sure to be connected with us online on social media. Be subscribed to the newsletter where we have extra special tips that come out for you guys. And thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you guys next time at Chine Coaching. Cheers.